Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out. Okay, we want to call to order the Finance Committee meeting for January on Wednesday, January 29th, 5:30 p.m. Then just going to do a quick roll call. I got Trustee Steve.
Present.
Trustee Brown is not with us at this moment, and Trustee House present. So we do have a majority for the committee meeting to move forward. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, so I'll ask everybody to stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Frank, can I ask you to lead us in prayer?
Eternal God, our Father, we thank you once again for another opportunity to come together. We thank you, O God, that you have blessed us to see another day. Now, we ask your blessings on this meeting today, God. Bless everyone that's here today and their families, but also bless the entire village of Dolton. We pray, O God, in this meeting that you would give clarity and understanding, that you would allow us to come and reason together, that we might transact the business and understand the finances of this village. We thank you now. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay. Thank you for that prayer. Prayer changes things, so we definitely need it. Okay, cool. Okay, so we're going to go through the monthly financial report, and keeping in mind that the monthly financials are the purpose for this meeting is making sure that we notify the community of what our financial condition is in. Everything in here, we may or may not agree with how we got to that point, but we always want to make sure that everybody knows, so that as a community, we can always talk from the same point of perspective, because I've had a few discussions where of disagreements with maybe some spending, and not negative spending, but just some people want more police, some people want more fire, things like that. So while we do the report, it's not everybody on the board and in the community may have different opinions, and I encourage anybody that either comes to this meeting or watches it online, please let your voice be heard. Contact anybody on the board, on the finance committee, because we do represent the community. We want to make sure that as we're making decisions, we're doing it with everybody's interest in mind. So, having given that speech, we're going to go to the monthly financial report. There are two funds that we always focus on. We're going to begin expanding that to 3 funds on a move forward basis. We always look at our general fund, the water fund, and the third fund we will make sure we are monitoring on an ongoing basis is the Melanie Fitness Center, because we need to make some serious decisions on how to proceed with that. So again, I ask, as people hear the reports, hear our status, there's always plans to improve, but we always want feedback from the community on are these things that we would like. So on the monthly financials, which I've passed out to everyone with the exception, I have 2 over here I'm going to pass, and then we're going to go through the financials. Give it to them. I think they can. See if they'll share one, because we don't want somebody else coming in. Yeah, if you can. Okay. So these financials represent the Village of Dolton's financial condition as of November 30th, 2019. We were hoping to have December's, but with all of the year-end reporting, the December financials are still in process. We'll likely have it within the next 2 to 3 days. By our next finance committee meeting, we will review December and January's financials collectively. So on our general fund, we're going to go to page 10 within the financial packet. And I always turn to that one because that gives us, towards the middle of the page, our actuals in terms of spending versus revenue received. So towards the middle of page 10, you would see within the general fund where it says excess deficiency of revenues over or under expenditures. For the month of November, we had a $442,000 $634.29 deficit for the month of November, which will bring our fiscal year to date to a surplus of $163,930.99. So for the month, there was a loss of $440,000 within the general fund. For the year, there's a surplus of $163,000. We do recognize the bulk of our funds come when the property taxes, first and second installment due. So November, December, and January having losses is not uncommon. However, we have to make sure that when we get our property tax revenue in March, April, and August, September, that we limit the losses in the other months, because that surplus that we get during that time will be spent. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna ask Trustee Steve, any questions? No. Okay, residents, I'll ask, jot down notes if you have any, and that's during citizens address. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Acknowledge Trustee Henyard and the beautiful Trustee Junior. Okay, we're gonna move next to the water fund, which, assuming that the table of contents leads me right, will be on page 13. All right. And I'll actually direct us to page 12, because 13 is the tail end of the report. And if we look at on page 12, the operating income had a loss for the month of $78,270.11 for the month of November. We have a surplus for the fiscal year to date of $1,108,120.31. So for the month, we lost approximately $78,000. For the year within the water fund, there is a $1 million surplus. And I will say that the reason that I go to that area versus the very bottom report, which talks about the net position, is the net position includes loans and things that are not operating activities. So we want to make sure that as a village, we're standing alone without additional financing. We do have to record it for accounting purposes, but we want to make sure as a board, or I advise that we look at what we're getting from our day-to-day operations so that we can begin stand alone without additional financing. Having said that, Trustee Steve, any questions or any comments? Okay, I mentioned we will go to the Melanie Fitness report. We have that as on this agenda. It's a separate agenda item, so we're going to talk about that in more detail. However, in future months, we will also do a similar scenario of reviewing the expenses and revenues for that on a month-by-month during this part of the report. Number two, for the status of our bond payment in December of 2019, we made our bond payment on time and on schedule. So I got an email confirmation from Chris, who is in our finance department, that that payment was received. As a board, we may remember we did have to transfer approximately $70,000 to go along with the bond payment. But we made the payment. There should be nobody looking for us, or at least not for a bond payment. For our water, the status of the water payments, we are also on track with the City of Chicago, as well as for our agreement on the arrearage that we have and our current water bill. So I also get a monthly email I can provide to anybody that would like to I can forward on, just as clarification that we're on track. On the very last page of the financial report that we passed out, which page 34, gives us a status of the uncollected water bills within the village of Dolton. So it does a breakdown by district. Districts 1, 2, and 3 are the consumer or the residents' water. 4 is our unincorporated area. 6 through 8 are the business districts. So in total, it's showing that at this point in time, we have $4.6 million of outstanding water bills that are not collected. So that's, so as we talk a lot about things going on within the water department, water being turned off, why it's turned off, and the best ways to go about doing it, a big portion of why there's such an emphasis is that we do have $4.6 million outstanding. We owe the city of Chicago. And however, there's ways that there are things we have to improve on, but we also have to make sure that we are collecting in for the residents that they are paying the water bills. As we're on the topic of the water bills, there was one agenda item that was recommended for our voting meeting next Monday from Trustee Henyard, which is a forensic audit of the water department. Prior to going to any voting meeting, we do like to have an opportunity for there to be some discussion amongst the board as well as from the residents before taking any vote. So I will ask if I can have Trustee Henyard come maybe speak. You can come wherever if you want to come here. If you want to sit by me, okay, you go there. But come and kind of outline the agenda item because this was your brainchild, why you see the need for it, and then begin the discussion, please.
Caught me on guard. Okay. See how the residents feel. Good evening, everyone. I think we need a forensic audit. In the past, we did ask for one when I came in 2013, but we did not acquire one. I think that we have too many complaints for the water department, and I think it should be dealt with a fine tooth. I think we should go over it in detail so the residents know and understand what's going on over in the water department, and so do the board. Because currently we get a lot of complaints, but yet we still ain't put nothing in order to move forward. Right, I know that. Sure, sure, and then I just. I wrote something.
This is your thing.
Be all day.
You wanna? Oh, go right ahead. Go. Is it a poem? Or if you want, I can comment and then.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
And then I have my comments.
Okay, so I did have some discussion with Trustee Henyard about this item prior to putting it on the having it up for this discussion. I see some pros to a forensic audit within the water department because there are challenges in terms of making sure that we're collecting everything prior, so I'm not accusing anybody now, prior accusations of theft within the water department. We see we have $4.6 million out there. So what happened is critical, along with it could provide us with some recommendations moving forward that can assist. The ladies here with the Administrator Scott, Sonia London, they have plans, they're working hard, so I'm not detracting from the hard work they're doing or saying that that nothing's being done, because they do work hard tirelessly every day, minimum 40 hours a week. But I think this could be something good to guide us. The area of any concern that I would have would be how much a forensic audit would cost, because we are talking about the financials. So that to me would be the only potential downfall. Having said that, I think that at least an RFP or getting quotes, because at this time we're talking about an audit blindly. We haven't gotten a quote, so we don't know if we can afford it or not until we receive quotes. So I'm open to at least putting out an RFP, getting quotes, so we can make a more informed decision if that's something we need moving forward. That's my thought about it.
I'm not against it. Again, like Trustee House said, let's at least get some quotes and see what it costs and get the input for the rest of the board. So even if we kicked it back to if we put this on the agenda for the next committee of the whole, to get the whole input of the whole board and go from there.
Okay, I think, well, I'll let you chime in. I think that the intention was that, from trustees, that they go on this Monday's voting meeting for the RFP to go out, not to do the actual audit, but that the RFP be issued. So I think you're looking at a recommendation from the board to move forward with the RFP.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Yes.
So I'm for that. I'm for it, but yes, sure.
I'm for it, but I say I'll be for it going to the committee of the whole first before we go to a voting meeting. That's my input.
Okay. I guess my question is, why do we need to go to a committee of the whole? That's what we're doing here at the finance meeting. This is a committee meeting to discuss it and then go to the board. That's why I didn't understand, why did Mary Kay take my agenda item off of Monday's board meeting? Just like any of you trustees, y'all asked to put something on, it gets on the agenda. But yet for me, I gotta go through all the loopholes. I think that's something that's needed. I think the residents asked for that, and I think we should basically give them that. It ain't just because I put it on there that Tiffany wants it. I think that everyone wants that. So I will hope that the board or this committee will side with me and move forward to the RFP process on Monday. That way we won't be a month behind. So that's what I'm looking for.
What I would say, because we don't have time here, you got one for Monday, one that says wait till committee of the whole. I'm going to let Mary Kay, because I don't know the legalese behind what the process is, but I'm sure we'll get a verdict from her by tomorrow, and she does the agenda as well for Monday.
Right.
But I would say if...
Well, just so you know, I've been a board member for 7 years. The legal way it works is how we've been doing it, which is any trustee can place something on the agenda and it goes on the agenda. It don't get pulled by a clerk. I'm not saying, I'm just telling you what everybody's title is. Clerks, they just record and basically do the paperwork. Trustees, we discuss and make law. That's what we do. So now if you and I are both saying put it on the agenda, it should go on the agenda for Monday.
Okay, well that is my recommendation too. So but we'll get a conclusion to it tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. You did have something you wanted to read?
Yeah, I could read it on Monday. It's okay.
You can read it Monday?
Because I see how it plays
It's
out.
up to you.
Yeah, I want to keep your meeting long. I just came really because...
You want a
they
short
put it-
meeting?
They put it here.
Stop
Yeah, I'm trying. I just came
I'm
because they
teasing.
put it on the agenda and I wanted to kind of know what was what with it. So
Oh.
if the residents would chime in as well as to how y'all feel about a forensic audit, if y'all would listen to them, that would be more helpful. And that way you will see it's just not me pushing for a forensic audit. I think it would like show or put light on things that's going on in the water department that we need to put in check, because right now it's a blind eye to the water department.
Okay. Well, I thank you for the
you.
recommendation and everything else. And I do tease a little bit with Trustee Henry. It's all in good. It's all in good humor. There's nothing ill will intention behind it. So having talked about the forensic, please, I do encourage again residents chime in during citizens address. We want to do some talk about the Melanie Fitness Center. As we know, there's been for years talk back and forth about whether we need to keep it or not, an updated status. So within our financials, I'll first talk about the financial status of the Melanie Fitness, which will be on page, where are we at? 16, should be page 17. Thank you, sir. So within the Melanie Fitness for the month of November, there was an operating loss, I'm looking towards the middle of the page, of $15,127.85. For the fiscal year to date, there was an operating loss of $170,408.22. That loss represents over a 7-month period, May 1st through November 30th. We did get some preliminary numbers we got some preliminary numbers for December, and there was an additional loss of about $28,000 for the month of December, which, assuming that those numbers are finalized, would mean that there is an operating loss fiscal year to date of $198,000. We did in the budget for a loss of $381,000. So there's there's two different ways to look at this. There's my projection or my best guess would be by the end of the fiscal year in April, we will have an operating loss of probably about $260,000, which is ahead of the projected budget, but $260,000 is still a big thing to do. The way I look at the Melanie Fitness Center is it is a service to the community. We have to have, if we're going to have any losses, we want to have it to a manageable level, but we don't want to lose sight that won't get so dollar focused that we're only thinking about that we're only thinking about the dollars and not the people it serves, the service it does, and individually, at what point in time do the board and we as a community say that's too much money to lose? And speaking with some of the staff at the Melanie Fitness Center, they have indicated, and we knew this project would take some time to turn around. I know Trustee Steve has done a lot of work on doing it, brought a lot of energy. We have one of the employees here, Mark, that's also poured a lot of time and energy into it. The agreement or the projections that they've stated on a move forward basis, or at least while they're revving up the revenue, was a commitment of $13,000 of revenue per month, which would be a drastic increase over what it's been doing. However, the expenses that we've looked at will probably be in the area of $25,000 per month. So we would still, for the interim, or at least the short term, be taking a $12,000 per month loss, assuming that we meet those projections. The staff and everybody has still been committed to doing more fun activities, engaging people. I say all these numbers again so that as a community we know where it is. I ask for everybody's feedback and opinion. I have one opinion. Trustee Steve has an opinion. Trustee Brown, I'm sure, does. Trustee Henyard does. So we really want to make sure we're having open discussions about how everybody feels. Is this something that's worth subsidizing, or is this something that we do not feel we need to? But also be mindful, everything that the village does is not geared to generate profit. It's geared to be a service. So is the service worth it? So I'm kind of throwing all that out there to put things in people's frame of mind. I will turn it over to Trustee Steve because I know he's done a lot of work and worked with a lot of people there. So I'm sure you have some thoughts and comments on the topic.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I know that's a big nugget to take, big nugget to crack. A lot of money in that. And we're down. We were projected to lose, as you said, 380. Yes. So we're already down to 100 from that, going into we're down. We're projected at this same rate. We'll lose what will be the final amount, about 260. Mm-hmm. So it's $100,000 down less than what was projected. It's a hard nugget to crack, and it's a long, ain't gonna say a long time turnaround, but we're making some improvements. I'm not against. It's up to the board and the village and the people. I'm not so against getting rid of it, but it does provide a service. It provides a service for some seniors in this village who definitely just desperately need it. And if we can get, not if, the rate we're going now, the monthly revenue for November was $8,189. That's more than it did in almost 17 months. It's been averaging before the pool got up. It was averaging about $3,000 a month. That's where they got the whole $380,000 projection. So revenue up there is increasing. I say we look at it again when it's budget time, and say let's look at see where we're at, and let the village and the residents make a decision. But I do want to do some more aggressive marketing to let people know in the village about Melanie Fitness, the things that we offer to the seniors, the things that we offer to our residents, to get them involved. And if the decision that the residents and the board wants to do whatever they decide to do, if they want to get rid of it or if they want to sell it, or that's a decision up to the board. But me, because I gave my word, and when I first got in, that I was going to work to help it and maintain it, I'm gonna commit to that. I'm gonna stick to that word until till this board makes a decision. But I will encourage everybody to come over there and just visit it, because there's a lot of good energy over there. A lot of seniors are really benefiting from it. There's people who come in there who come there off the I think the Pace bus or stuff like that, who are crippled, who really depend on that place. So again, like Trustee House said, it's a service, but the service shouldn't be to the detriment of the taxpayer that is draining so much money. You know what I mean? But I do think that we can get it to a point where it's not draining as much as it is now. And if you look at the numbers, it's trending that way, because we're already down $100,000 than what was projected. And that's it. And then we have our manager here, Mark. If you can come up and say something, because moving forward this month, we're going to be doing a lot of health screenings and diabetes checks and things that deal with health and wellness in our community. Because everybody know dialysis centers are popping up like McDonald's. And it's because a lot of us are unhealthy. So that's something in our community Melanie Fitness that you can come and take advantage of. A lot of people come up there. They got the detox cafe, and one lady said, "I thought," she knows a lady who has the detox cafe. She said, "I thought this was downtown," but she said, I'm in Dolton. This is right around the corner." So she got come and get healthy food, healthy detoxes. So she was just excited that it was in her community instead of having to drive downtown to get a healthy meal, a healthy vegan meal that doesn't have a lot of poisons, a lot of toxins and stuff like that in it. So, Mark, you can talk about where we're going and where we're headed to.
Okay. Good evening. How's everybody? I know that's this is a heavy task and a daunting task. Of course, those figures they're pretty large figures. But I say this, I think that Melanie Fitness has a service to the community. And I know from being there, and I've just started in August, but being there, it has a need, it services a need in the community with not only the senior citizens, but also youth that come in and youth groups. We're actually going to do some outreach to the school districts in this area too, so we can set up tutoring where the students can come in and feel that this is a place where they can spend time in. Not necessarily just working out and doing the health part of it. We want a holistic approach to how it can really serve the community. So we're very excited about that. Right now we're about $120,000 under the projected deficit because we've really been working very hard to try to bring new programming in, get a different energy, and get members to come in. So in that vein, we've opened up the Detox Cafe, which is a different energy and it's bringing people in. That's coming along very well, and we haven't even really advertised for it. So we're just about to begin the campaign to advertise for it aggressively and really go after members, and not only in Dolton, but Riverdale, Harvey, and the neighboring communities. We had 2 police officers come in today from Burnham one of them work out in the facility, and he was telling the other police officer about it, and they were very excited about what it had to offer. So we're looking at those municipalities and offering them the benefit of the workout facility that's in their area, so they wouldn't have to travel far to have the benefit of a place to work out in. So just to let the residents know, we are there, we're present, we're working hard trying to make the gym work. Again, of course, we want it to be economically feasible, so we know that we're looking at meetings in the very near future to determine that. But so that we are on the ground, boots on the ground, and we're working, trying to make it work and try to make it really be a service to the community, and not just this big, daunting task or this big draining apparatus to the village. Okay, thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Okay, so again, we ask that as those come forward with comments and things like that, please voice your opinion, support, concern, a little bit of both, because we do want to hear it. Next thing on our agenda, we talked some at our last board meeting about the warrant list and the tree trimming, because we do have invoices on there that come up and we have to pay for. Trustee Henier was requesting that we have the actual addresses printed on the warrant list. I spoke with our finance, because my concern was that they may spend a lot of time, and because we don't have a on-staff person, that they may spend a lot of time typing in trees and details at $150 an hour, when I'd rather them be doing something else. That was my concern. I did speak with Chris, and he indicated that they can put individual trees, or they can put it on the list for as many characters as the software allows, because the software allows you to type in a description of what you're doing. It'll say trees trimmed 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you hit 150 characters, like if they have 10 trees listed, then all characters would not fit in that space, or they have to create something separate. My thought or my suggestion, because they do have all of those documents in an email version, that the actual invoices can be sent over to the trustees, it can be sent over to the clerk, and of course made available for any residents, although actual invoices can be viewed, and then that would accomplish both goals, in my opinion. So that was my suggestion. However, I'll ask Trustee Steve his thoughts. Trustee Henyard, I know you're passionate about the trees. I ask for your opinion as well.
I think it's a great idea. I just, as we know, what is it, Casparic, they're very expensive. So if Trustee House worked out a way that we can do it where it doesn't cost us a whole lot more, and from my understanding, we're still working on a pay, I guess the village administrator may can speak to that. We're working on a accounts payable person to kind of bring that monthly amount that Casparic is charging us down. But I'm not against that.
And I will say, and in talking with Chris, he did not say it would be a tremendous amount more in terms of the cost, because he said it's only so many characters that he can put in. Therefore, it would not be a ton of time. However, he was concerned about there being enough characters on the warrant list in the event that there's 5 or 6 trees that they may not fit. So, having said that, Trustee, if you have thoughts.
Okay. I'm okay with that. It's just a matter of, can they attach the invoice to the warrant list so when we are viewing it, everyone see what trees was cut?
I'll make I'm sure they can. They can do whatever we
Yeah, since
ask.
he's saying that he can't put the address on the warrant list that we're viewing.
He can, if
But
it's
he's
one.
trying to
if
charge
it's
us
one,
more money.
Yeah, well, if it's one address, it'll fit. He's saying it won't fit on multiple locations. Would not fit on the warrant list. If it's one address, it'll fit, and it can go on there. If one invoice has 5 locations, then it may not fit on the warrant list because there's so many characters, and it'll.
So do you know how Matt turns it in? To them?
They receive it via email, so they already have it scanned into a PDF file. So they should be able to.
So on one sheet, it might have 20 addresses. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so that one sheet, they can just attach it.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Trustee Steve mentioned the looking for an accounts payable person, and I did speak with our administrator as well. She was she had a couple of resumes that she had looked at, and also working with Chris on an interviewing process of bringing on somebody whose job functions would be to do accounts payable and the payroll. If we're able to find the person, of course you want to make sure you get the right person, because they say you hire fast, suffer slow. So you want to make sure you get the right person in that position. But we do recognize that it's imperative that we lower what we're paying, and Casparic will do the managing at that time of the finance department, and then the accounts payable and payroll person would take off some of the more arduous tasks or things that may not require a CPA level of expertise. So I'll keep that on the agenda as well, moving forward until we identify that person, and we can come and all say welcome. I like having this kind of crowd. There's a lot of people. I didn't think it was going to have this many people. Okay. Two things. The audit, so our fiscal year 2019, which ended April 30th of 2019, audit is in the final phases of being complete. We should be receiving a draft we should receive a draft within the next 2 weeks, and then we should have a final audit by the end of February. In past, the audit has been presented at a board meeting for vote, which means that we've not had an opportunity to actually review this big packet. I've asked that they have the audit available for next finance meeting, so that we can review it openly, because they're stating that we must openly have it once it's available to the board. It should be available for the public as well, so we can at least have time to discuss it before the following board meeting, at which time we can vote, and that'll give time for the community, the board, to have the audit, discuss the audit, and accept it at a regular board meeting, if that makes sense. And then as well, our fiscal year 2020 budget, we will spoken as well, and the mayor has talked to our finance company, I'm sure Administrator Scott, about the 2020 budget coming up. So those talks will be beginning within the coming weeks, with the goal of having a budget in place by the start of our fiscal year of May 1st. So we will continue to talk about that to work to keep on track. That being said, any thoughts or comments, Trustee Steve? Easy going. We covered a lot in a little bit of time. I'm going to move to citizens address. I ask anybody, please state everything that's on your mind.
Okay. My question is regarding the Melody Fitness. Now, the previous board got a memo from, I don't know if it was Kasperic or who it was, stating that we needed to sell the Melody Fitness, the Dorchester, and any other property that we did own. I still agree that we need to. I don't think we should let the Melody drain us. I understand that you want to keep campaign promises, but that's why we don't make promises during campaign. I think we should let it go because it can fund other programs, such as a youth program, senior programs. If we in the whole, what you say, 250 now? 250?
We're in the whole 198 for the year. I would project by the end of the year 260.
260. So I think we can use that money elsewhere. I understand you're passionate about it, and basically you're doing the same thing. You're following in Trustee Muhammad footsteps. He did the same thing. He wanted to basically save the Melody. He wanted to work hard with it. You are. I'm giving credit when credit's due. Y'all both had a passion for melodies. But what I'm saying to you is that eventually he understood that we had to sell it as well. So what I'm telling you is that we need to sell it. We shouldn't keep it and let it keep draining us. Once again, it's not our money that we're using to keep it afloat. If it was your money, you was losing $260 a year, you would let that go. You would not keep that. So that's my take on it.
Okay. Thank you for the comment. I see a few others, please. Hey.
Good evening, all. My name is Barbara Parker, and I am a resident of Dolton. And as far as the Melody Fitness Center, I think that we should sell it because we've been going through this for quite a while. I understand that various changes or whatever have occurred trying to get Melody up and running. I can't see that unless we can get out of debt or whatever. We don't want to raise the membership. Also, you have to think about the capacity at Melody's. If you're only supposed to have 500 people or whatever in there, you can't generate the revenue or whatever unless you increase the membership or whatever, or unless we operate 24 hours a day. Either way, I say we should close it, because if we keep going this way, we're the ones that are subsidizing or whatever the amount to keep this going. The other thing about the water situation, that's been going on for whoever. I think we should have an audit from ground zero all the way up to the top, wherever. The other part to that is also there should be procedures or whatever worked out as to how they're operating the water department, so that the residents will know, and even given a copy so everybody's on the same page. Because when you go over, I don't know if it's changed or not, and sometimes when you go over to pay a bill or to ask a question, well, I don't know, I'll have to wait until so-and-so gets here so they can call you back or whatever. Everyone that's working in that department should know what the procedure is and be able to answer a question. You shouldn't have to wait or whatever, come back or whatever. You got people working, you got people that are retired and should not, even whatever the situation is, you should not have to be making several trips back and forth to the water department. Everybody in that department should know how it's operated, should know the procedures. And also the third part to that is audit, and make sure it's a thorough audit.
If I can, because you may have a comment, because I did want to maybe point of clarity on some of the things you said. Mm-hmm. We do have an annual audit, and the audit does cover the water department. So when we're talking about a forensic audit, I don't want anybody to leave saying that we never audit the water department. Trustee Henyard's point is a forensic audit. So in our audit that we currently, which is more thorough, more detailed, So in our current audit, they may come in, ask for a sample of 20 or 30 receipts, review that, and use that as a sample of the community. A forensic audit would come and say, give me all your receipts, I'm going through everything, and that way you know that it's been gone from A to Z, which is why they charge additional. So that's that. I'm saying that not in disagreement, because I support the RFP, but I want to make sure that as we're talking about this, we're all talking about the same thing, and we know that there is an audit. And one other comment, you talked about the policies and procedures.
Yes.
I'm in agreement that everybody should know there are policies and procedures in place that are in the water department. That statement, I think, goes more to enforcement of the policies and procedures, and I'll ask, maybe, I think if I'm misspeaking, Administrator, please let me know. There are policies, but they should be followed. Everybody should know them. I'm in agreement there too, but I just didn't want to give the appearance that there are no policies and procedures or that we don't have audits, but we do have work to do to clean things up, so I'm in agreement with everything said.
No, I'm not saying that there has to be some type of policy or procedures or whatever to be operating. My point is that everyone should know what the policies and procedures are. If you have a question or whatever, one of the things, like an example, I understand that we're supposed to have a change in our meters ever so often. At one time, at whoever, I know it's been over 10 years or whatever, one of the persons in the old office, when we were in the old office, brought to my attention, asked me, when did you have your meter changed? I said, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know. She said, well, it should be like at least every 10 years that they should be changed. So I said, well, mine, because when I was taking my bills in, my readings in, the meter that I had, she had a question because I had not completed all of the squares on there. And she said, well, why is this not? I said, well, these are only numbers I have on my meter. So she showed me the meter that was current at that time, and I don't know, I'm supposing it's still in its current. It had all of the numbers on there. So these are the kinds of things that either bring to your attention if there's something there, because you may not be aware of it. And so someone in that department should be aware of policies, procedures, or whatever, so that if it's something that the residents should know about, bring it to their attention, because you may not, as a resident, know all the procedures or know all of the processes or whatever that goes on in the water department. And as far as, what you're saying, I'm asking for a thorough audit. Every piece of paper.
Absolutely.
Or whatever.
Thank you for your comments.
One thing, Trustee Hinger said something. Since I've been in this position, the biggest thing that they say about politicians, y'all say one thing and do another. So I wanted to at least try to commit to my word. And if I fall short, but at least I say was found trying. Because that's the main thing with politicians. I only see you when it's election time, and you say one thing and you do another. So I wanted to change that myself. So it's not about, I didn't say I promise, I just told I would work on it, and that's what I'm be found doing.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I have a few questions. I am definitely in favor of a forensic audit, not only in the water department, but I believe the whole village needs to have a forensic audit, so we can see exactly where the money have went, what do we really have now on hand, and that's for every department. Also, Melody Fitness Center. Nobody probably loved Melody Fitness Center more than me. I knew Melanie personally. That was built so the kids could have an opportunity to have a swimming pool and to be able to swim in their community, and also so you can get your workout on at the same time. But I'm a business person. You've already lost over $100,000 thus far. I look at my alley, and we have, my neighbors have turned it in. I broke down and turned it in. We have holes in our alley so big in the summertime, the water sit, and it's a haven for West Nile virus. I can use some of that $100,000 to fix our alley. Also, you have other streets that's in the same condition. This is about all of us and not some of us, you know, and to be a business, to operate Melanie Fitness Center, you know, that's a great thing. There are other places that they can take their health card and go. I would hate to see it gone, but it's draining us, and it has been said on numerous of occasions to get rid of the Melanie Fitness Center. And I hope at some point our alley could get fixed, because it's actually tearing up people's cars, and people that come through my alley, they have nice cars. I have a nice car, you know, and it's unfortunate that we can't get that fixed. Also, I would like to know, when you are doing new hire, how does that reflect the budget for the departments? When you're doing that new hire, do you amend that budget? Do you go in and amend it? Do they have money that's already allocated to do new hires in their budget?
There should be, well, the budget is allocated for a certain number of employees. So in the police department, it may say we have allocated already 20 police officers. So if we're doing hires, we should be at a point that we're under 20, so we're filling in. So the money's already been allocated, and we're just trying to meet the budgeted number. In the event that there's a hire, there shouldn't be hires in excess of what the budget allows for. But in the event that that does happen, we would only rebudget if it was an excessive amount over. Because if let's say that we budgeted for 20 officers, we ended up hiring 22. That 2 additional officers would cost us about $150,000, which is a decent number, but on a $24 million budget, we would not rebudget every time something throws off, or we would spend a lot of time in these meetings just strictly rebudgeting, trying to figure out, okay, we're going to take 150 here, put it over there. But so collectively, if the budget changes by 5 to 10% overall, again, on a $24 million budget, 10% is like $2.4 million. 5% is 1.2. So if we start getting to that level of change within the budget, then we should sit down and look at rebudgeting. Or if we find ourselves grossly off plan, we also would want to rebudget at that time. But to answer your question, it's already allocated, and we're trying to meet that number.
I love the word should. You know, I'm a sucker for words, and I keep hearing this should.
It is already It is already allocated. Yes.
Oh, okay. So my question to you, Mr. House,
Yes.
Trustee House, do you know how many new hires you have hired since, say, May?
I do not have that number off the top of my head.
Can you do me a favor, and can you find out how many people that you have actually hired since May, how much that have cost us, and the different departments, and did they go over their budget?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, one more thing, real quick. Warrant list. Trustee Henyard mentioned the receipts, the invoices for the water, I'm sorry, I forgot. The trees. What about the sidewalks? When you do concrete work, those receipts, credit cards, definitely credit cards. Do you receive those invoices also?
The board does not receive them directly. Upon request as a board, we get them. They are available for FOIA or for a board to request them. So it's a matter of how much information we want to request to make sure that we're thorough without being overwhelmed with paper to the point that we're not able to get good information.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening. Just a couple questions. First, with the water department,
the proposed forensic audit, is that just the financials?
The forensic audit would be, and I know this was your item, my understanding is that it would be policy and financial.
Okay.
Yes.
Along with that, perhaps you want to think about including the technology as well, because I think a lot of the problems has to do with the technology and the systems. That might be something you want to look into. With the Melanie Fitness Center, can anyone tell me how long it has been since it has broke even?
Furthest I went back, I think it's 2012, and I think that was it was operating at an even keel. It wasn't no. I think it was bringing in maybe $23,000 a month or something like that. But that was in 2012. That's the farthest that they can go back.
Okay.
I haven't been able to go back farther than that.
So today, monthly revenue, what would that be to break even?
We would need to bring in at least $25,000 a month.
So we're only bringing in now a third of that?
Yeah, we're bringing in. Well, this month is going to do a lot better, but because it's January and we got some promotions, but we're projecting that we're going to do at least 13 a month. Right now, November we did 8,000, which was more than we did in the past 16 months. It was averaging $3,000 a month.
Okay. Well, this is a word of encouragement to you. I think that when you have good numbers, the numbers don't lie. It's been 8 years, and I'm not for or against. I'm just looking at the numbers. And as one of the other residents said, you know, if you take a total of 8 years of losses, and we're still budgeting for a loss, and I understand that the loss doesn't look as bad, but it's still a loss. And when you look at that, I like to think that during those 8 years, how much has the citizens suffered with services? Okay, that has to be considered as well. And you know, you can't. I'm trying to look for a word. You can't govern with your heart. I think everybody's heart is we'd love to see it open, but unfortunately, you know, when it negatively affects the mass, okay, no one's going to hold you or should hold you personally accountable for making right decisions. And I would hope and pray that all our trustees make the right decisions for the village. You understand? For the village. You know, I'm not against it, and I know that seniors, I'm a senior, okay? I need that too, but, you know, I'd like to have street lights, and I'd like to have...
Mr. Gray, when you going to meet me over there?
I can't go now because I got some other stuff going. I'm in therapy right now. I can't be there. Otherwise, you know, you'd have to drag me out of there. I can't do all that. But anyway, I just want to say this to you. I don't think anyone's going to hold anybody personally accountable for making the right decision. Now, you got me coming if they're the wrong decisions, and justifiably so, because we elected you to represent us.
Good evening, everyone. Question for the budget to actuals, Trustee House. This is a budget to actual to what month? Because you didn't include, you couldn't conclude, of course, December. So is it the budget of actual that you jump over December to make the budget of actuals up to January?
So this one represents numbers from May 1st through November 30th. Okay. December and January financials, we will discuss both months at our next financial
Which
meeting.
would throw the numbers off from what's in the one we have tonight.
Well, it'll be different numbers.
Okay. Yes. And I'll get on the forensic lastly. The warrant list. Someone asked about the warrant list because there was an article in the Tribune concerning misappropriation of funds of the credit card, and I think Chris was asked, can we include that on the warrant list from now on? And what was included on the warrant list, from my understanding, is the total amount, but What we were looking for as residents, and I'll speak for myself, is an itemization of the credit card. Because you get a credit card coming into your mailbox, the first thing you look at is all the charges. So the residents still don't know how the credit card is being used, because what's listed on the warrant list is a total amount of what was spent. And I think for transparency, we should at least have itemized invoices or the billing. And I think that's what I thought was promised. And I think Chris said he couldn't do it. He had to do a separate attachment to the warrant list, if I remember correctly.
Correct. So at last month's meeting, we did have two different warrant lists. One that include to ensure that the credit card was listed on the warrant list. To your request, we can do it similar to what we're doing with the tree invoices,
Yeah,
the county
itemize it.
invoice,
Just
and
itemize it.
send that over.
Yes, sir. Now, the reason why the itemization of the trees and the concrete is important, because when vendors come in and get a job from the village of Dolton and we pay the bill, as a trustee, you don't know what work was done. In other words, if, like trustees talking about trees, we should know that the trees on Minerva or Evers were done. And if it's too much for the system, for Scott, then there should be an attachment with the, like you say, PDF file, copies of those, especially with concrete work, because the concrete work far surpasses the expense of tree cutting. Okay. Lastly, audit. I think one of the problems is, and sometimes we won't say it, but the elephant in the room, like right now, is what is a forensic audit? Some of us don't even know what an audit is. And as you know, regular audits for policies and procedures. When you talk about a forensic audit, that means that there's some malfeasance or you're looking for fraud. That's the whole purpose of doing a forensic audit. And I think Trustee Henyard is talking about primarily the payment center. And the reason why there's concentration on the payment center is because that's where all our money comes through, unless that's changed. Waters for monies for the water bill, waters for any fees or penalties and that type of thing. Lastly, and as the former trustee Stubbs said, it should be a complete forensic audit, because I was here 2013 and we had Sheriff Dodd here, and they were going to do a forensic audit, but something happened where they started, but it never finished. But I, like many of you, have just received this in the mail. How many got this a couple days ago? For those who don't know what this is, it's the first installment of the property tax bill. And my particular one, I pay about $5,200 a year, and it's itemized. And I heard the term, well, it's money here, money there. But see, when we talk about taxes, we're also talking about, we help support the library, we help support the Dolton Park District. At least I do in my zone. Maybe yours is different. I help support the town of Thornton. I help support the school district number 149. So it adds up. That's where the $5,200 come from. As far as the Melanie Fitness Center is concerned, I won't speak on that in depth. Everybody know where I stand on that. But I know when I was here, there was a battle going that some persons didn't want to sell the Dorchester. Do you all remember what we were losing a month on the Dorchester? Anybody remember that? $90,000 a month on the Dorchester. So we were losing over $1 million a year on the Dorchester. So again, I asked the accountant, Mr. Kasparik, and I asked him, do you agree that we should keep the Melanie Fitness Center open and blah, blah, blah? And he said, well, it's up to the trustees, because his job is not to give financial advice, but his job is accounting. And I understand that. But I'm glad that Trustee Steve mentioned the number that we have to do to break even, $25,000 a month. It's simple math, $25,000 a month times a year, that's about, what, a little over $300,000 a year for you to basically break even. Can it be done? We'll see. But in the meantime, we have to have a plan B. Just like I said here a few months ago, we got to have a plan B, because we're not selling cannabis. The panacea that we were going to get cannabis in and we're going to get these millions of dollars, we have to have some economic programs in place so we can do some strategic economic planning for the village of Dolton and not look for panaceas. Thank you. And lastly, I want to thank you for keeping these meetings, because this is the only committee that we know that's going to be monthly at the same time, in the same place. And I would wish all the other committees would set a hard time on the calendar so we can come out and ask, because there are big issues concerning the water department. There are big issues concerning public works. So hopefully when you all talk to the other trustees, we can set in some set dates so we can arrange our schedules to come to these prearranged meetings. Thank you again, trustees.
Thanks for your comments. Okay. Pat, are you saving the best for last?
I wasn't going to say anything at all, but I'm looking around to see if anybody looks like they're illiterate. I don't see anybody that does not understand what audit means. We all know what audit means. And I am in agreement that we should do a forensic audit on the water department in every area, just like somebody said, not just the bill itself, but the infrastructure, all of that. Something is wrong, and we all know that there's something wrong. And another thing that I did suggest to you, when people come up for that with their water bills, people are hurting with water, and it cannot be done during a regular board meeting. That needs to be done where everybody brings your bill, you sit around the table, and all those people that work in that water department should sit down with these people and figure out what's going on with their bill, because they're hurting. This is a serious thing, and you all know it.
Like we did Maria Pop.
Yeah, like you did over at Maria Pappas. People got their money back from that. You can do it the same way. You're just not taking the time to do it, and I'm trying to see who really cares enough to do it. As far as the Melanie Center, Mr. Creighton is right. Is something that's dear to your heart, and I appreciate you for doing it and feeling as passionate about it, but it's costing us money. When Trustee Stubbs was talking about her alley, my street looks like what you said your alley looks like. I would love to have that money and fill up the holes that are in my street. And I have cried and begged and pleaded for somebody to just come down my street if you can get through it, and see how it needs to be patched. We can use that money. So don't feel bad if it doesn't work out. It's not working out. Right now it's not working out. You know it, but you want to try. I say we don't give it too much more time to take our money away, because we could be using that money for something else.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. At the same time, a street is 50,000 a street. You know, we maybe do 4 streets. That's more than what we have now. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. And it's not that I'm just so blind to the fact that I want to do it that I'm not against. If the decision of the board is to sell it, of course I'm gonna make my statement, and it is what it is. But at the same time, we do not have a community center in the village. Right. And if I can make this place self-sufficient, if I can bring in $25,000 a month where I can reduce the amount that is losing, then why not keep it? Because I know when I talked to Conspirac, you have Calumet City has Sandridge, and he said they subsidize that to a degree, not as much as we've been subsidizing Melody, but at least, when it comes to that time to make a decision, we'll make the decision. But I'm gonna be found trying to bring that $25,000 a month.
And I understand that, and I think this should be a village decision. You're saying the board, I respect the board because we voted for some of them. But this is a village, yeah, we did. We voted for some of you. But this is a village decision. I think we all should have input on whether we keep it or whether we sell it. Not just you all. I don't want to leave it up to, okay.
Thank you for the comments.
Good evening, everyone. And I want to talk about Melly Fitness Center. Trustee Ed, Steve, you know me. He just taken this over as of June, okay? And I work there. And I've had a lot of members that's coming back. And the reason why they left, because there was no pool. So it's been down for 3 and 4 years. I'm not saying we should keep it or let it go, but give them a chance. Because for 3 years, we didn't have nothing. When people walk in there and see the cafe, the heated pool, the steam room, they're happy. We've done so many enrollments in 1 month, over 100. I know, I work there, okay? So I'm not saying keep it or give it away, but give him a chance. You see, he can't build this up in 6 months because it was destroyed 3 years ago. So just bear with him and hold on, because he got to correct the mistakes that were made in the past. And it's hard to go behind somebody who fucked up. Okay, excuse me. So give him a chance. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you for your articulation. Thank you.
Good evening, trustees.
Good evening.
And residents and our administrator over there. I have a couple of comments. I won't keep you long. With regards to the forensic audit, I totally agree we need to have one. My question is, who prepares the scope of work? How much is it going to cost? How many bodies does it take? And how long will it take to even prepare the request for proposal?
The
request for bid.
The RFP should be able to be prepared pretty quickly within a few days. Then you have to send it out to different firms that may be capable of doing that type of work. Obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, they would likely need a CPA designation so that they have that expertise. The cost, that's the reason for the RFP, is so that we can identify how much it would cost. Because to me, I think that's the only potential downside to a forensic audit. But we don't know the cost until we do the RFP first.
Right, and who does the RFP?
The village would do the RFP.
The village as in who?
We would return our attorney. We would ask
attorney? Okay.
Our attorney to prepare the RFP.
Okay.
Then you field proposals, and once we get the proposals, we can say to the residents and as a board, the cost of the audit will be $40,000, $50,000, whatever that fee is.
Okay.
And is that something that we want to budget for?
Okay.
Audit itself can, depending on the scope of it, we have to determine, do we want to go back 1 year, 2 years, 5 years?
How far you want to go back?
But every year that we go back, that's going to ring that cash register. So how far do we want to go back? I'm certain, my biggest thing is I would hope that it would include policies and things that we can fix. We want to go back to figure out what went wrong, but I don't like a lot of finger pointing, because then you spend a lot of time on that. But we want to know what we did wrong and what we could do to ahead. And I will say again, it's not to slight anybody over there. People are working. They are working hard. I view this as a way that collectively we could try to find another way to work on. Just being better.
I totally agree, and I know that we have new employees over there, new policies. We're trying to do something better, but I just feel like the same energy that we're putting into other things, and I don't want to spite you about the Melanie Fitness Center, that we've been asking, and I think this young lady who had asked that we have an open forum where we can bring our water bill. Somebody else just said, who is this really important to? We can do it like at a coffee with the mayor on a Saturday when everybody's off from work, and everybody can come in and bring in their water bills, because I did enjoy going over there and seeing if I had any money back off of my taxes and everything. And I would love to go over there and see if we can get these water bills in order. And I just think that it just needs to be a priority to everybody. And I just feel like there's enough board members where someone can pick up something and run with it. I see the three of you. You all are really putting forth a lot of effort. We haven't had a housing meeting. It's a lot of concerns we have about housing that's not being done. So I would just like to see more energy from all of the board members, and get some of these things done. And I want to applaud you, Trustee Steve, because you are doing an outstanding job with the energy you're putting into this fitness center. We can see things are really happening. And if we had your energy, and put it into this water bill and some of the other things that we're really struggling with, I think we could go a long way. But I am definitely in agreement with having this audit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I would just like to say one more thing about Melanie Fitness Center. And it has been over 3 years of losing revenue to take care of it. I don't think it ever has really actually sustained itself. But I think the residents in this village is entitled to city services, street pavements, tree cuttings, sidewalks fixed, You know, we are entitled. We pay, my taxes is $15,400 and some change. And for me not to have services, and this is just patchwork, for the alley to be repaired is unheard of. And I know a lot of people say, well, you have a building. Well, I only have 4 people. It's only 4 people in the building, okay? And I'm still paying my fair share. And that's all we are asking for is city services. So if you all can fund Melanie Fitness Center, all I'm asking for is some patchwork. Not the whole alley, just some patchwork. The cold patches. You have cold patches out. My address is 14801 Chicago Road. Come right through there by Kevin's Garage. You'll see the giant hose. And that's, I don't think I'm asking a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. What's that?
Okay, you guys, I forgot to announce this. This Saturday, we have a estate planning 101 with Speaker Attorney Mario Reed. It's going to be at Dolton Park at the main field house in the Amber Room, 14700 Evers. Again, Dolton Park Field House. This Saturday from 11 until 2 p.m. Come, you guys. It's a wealth of information. They're doing wills versus trust. They're doing power of attorney, life insurance, health insurance, credit repair. It's only for $350, you guys. So get all that bad debt off your credit. Start your new year off right. Come get these services, you guys. And I'm paying $20 for the first 5 people that sign up towards any service that you pick. So that's the way to get you started. So you got no excuse for why you're not going to sign up. My number is 708-297-6859. Again, 708-297-6859. Estate planning this Saturday, 11 to 2. Thank you.
How you doing, trustees? Forensic. The village needs it. Every department should have it. How can we set a proper budget if you really don't know where all your money's going? I don't think no resident should not know. I mean, certain things we do know, but as a whole, everyone should know. Everyone should know. Trustees know. Few elected officials know. But not everyone knows where their money is going to. Not everyone knows. So with that being said, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, trustees. I am not going to be long. I just want to go on the record, as Trustee Hilliard always says. For the record, I am in agreement with a forensic audit. We absolutely need it. It's long overdue. There's been too many discrepancies with our monies. So please, for the record, I want one.
Thank you. Well, that being said, I want to thank everybody for their attendance, for the comments. We definitely appreciate it. As well overdue that we want to make sure we hear everybody's voice. Going to see if I get motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. So, Trustee Steve.
Aye.
Trustee House, aye. We will conclude at 6:44 p.m.